I'm joined by members of the Capital Investment Committee and other members of my caucus for this event. The 2017 construction season has arrived, and with the future of a bonding bill unknown, critically important projects all over the state could cost millions more because of those interest rate hikes that we know are coming and inflation. Millions in federal dollars could be lost if these projects aren't approved. 3 projects I've included in your press release that are in jeopardy of losing federal dollars. A $47 million federal match for the state's $25.4 million portion of the cleanup project in the St. Louis River Estuary and Bay. We're joined by one of the Duluth people today. A $25 million state match leverages $85 million in U.S. EPA grants for revolving fund low-interest loans for municipal water infrastructure projects. In 2016, with minutes remaining in the session, the previously failed bonding bill was taken from the table, and with an error-ridden spreadsheet and other serious mistakes, was passed into law in chaotic fashion. I happen to have that bill here. Jenny Nash has done the work of noting all of the mistakes, 29 major mistakes, 38 minor mistakes, 67, and it's tattered because Representative Pawlowski has used this in some of his government classes. In that last time on the floor, the following amendment was offered. It was a secondary amendment to a delete all. With less than an hour to go, it was adopted. It was meant to correct a bond sale authorization placeholder figure in the bill. The problem is that it was off by $821.9 million. This is not a staff problem. This is a time management problem that left staff with little to no time to do their job. Clearly, it would have been caught had there been even a few hours to proofread the bill. Minnesotans deserve better. It would be foolish to head down this failed, rushed path again. And we're here because the closer we get to the end of the session, that's what we fear, that we're heading down that same path. Instead, for Minnesotans, we should be House and Senate, Republicans and Democrats, governor's office, working together on a bonding bill with public input. It's a better product when we do it that way. It's difficult to get a balanced and fair bonding bill crafted for the entire state. And so the more people at the table, the better. The other piece that we worry about as it's held to the end is that the bonding bill becomes the leverage in the power struggle for the deal. And that too, using it as a bargaining chip, it's unwise and the public deserves better. Here's how we should do it. In 2015, House and Senate, Republicans and Democrats, and the governor's office sat in a room together. We started at 9 in the morning. We finished at 11 at night. We had written every line of the bill together. Now, granted, it was a very small bill. It was $180 million in geo-bonding. That's the last time we've had a bonding bill. Signed, I believe, in June of 2015, $180 million in geo-bonding, which we wrote together. And when we finished that, we knew we were going to take that into special session and pass it. And that's how we would serve Minnesota today if we were able to do it. High priority projects that are waiting for bonding. Detroit Lakes has a wastewater treatment facility. It's ready. The project can't move forward without state funds. St. Cloud Prison, Phase 2, which would protect the public and employees because of this very dangerous intake area. They've been waiting several years. The Lanesboro Dam was built in 1868. It's leaking. The dam is a high-hazard structure that is very unstable and will be removed if repairs are not funded. The removal would release hundreds of thousands of cubic yards of silt and fill the bedrock channel downstream with silt, destroying the canoe industry there and smothering the pristine trout habitat. Moorhead rail grade separation. An average of 85 trains pass through the city each day, many of them carrying crude oil from North Dakota. The current layout of the streets and tracks make it impossible to install railroad gates at the current intersection. Coon Rapids rail grade separation, the Hanson Boulevard rail crossing, regularly blocked by trains that are waiting to get into the nearby rail yard, and they make it difficult for emergency vehicles to travel across town without detours. The historic truss bridge on the campus of the Minneapolis Veterans Home. It was built in 1908. The bridge was found unsafe and closed to both vehicle and pedestrian traffic in 2014. And since that time, there has only been one entrance on 46th Avenue to that campus. The lost use of the bridge creates an increased vulnerability due to the campus limited access of security and first responder types of emergencies. Higher education, always the most significant part of the bonding bill. Asset preservation all over the state. UMD, an advanced science building. The University of Minnesota Duluth Chemistry Building was originally constructed in 1948. Anytime you have a college or university campus waiting for a science building today, we know how urgent that is for the students and faculty. Winona State University has an education village. There are more than 2,000 education students there, comprising 20% of the student body. They have been waiting for several years. Projects across the state that are ready to go. They've been ready for several years. Communities across the state waiting. I gave you a couple of charts for your background. One of them looks like this. It shows the history of bonding bills from 2000 to 2014. And I particularly call attention to 2005 and 2006, very similar to right now, where we had several years with virtually no bonding. Pawlenty was governor, Steve Spigham was speaker, Eric Paulson was the majority leader, and they recognized that after 2 years of no investment in infrastructure, there was catch-up to do. And so 2 years in a row, they wrote and passed bills just under $1 billion. We're in that same situation today, where we've gone underfunded for several years. I also have a chart in which we've given you a little bit of history of how we have used the bonding bill for local roads and bridges. And there's a connection to another bill that I need to talk about. I also want to note on that page that some critics believe we have too much debt, but rating agencies and all of the analysis, such as USA Today, point out that we are consistently in the middle of the pack in terms of comparison with other states. So why do I reference roads and bridges? Well, here's the path we're on relative to debt in this legislative session. In the transportation bill, we already borrowed $1.3 billion for roads and bridges. There was a suggestion made at that point by Representative Torkelson that when Representative Erdahl writes the bonding bill, he should include another $200 million of GO bonding for local roads and bridges. It will mean, if all of that transpires, we will have borrowed $1.5 billion just for roads and bridges. Why does that give me heartburn? There is no balance with all of the other needs. We've been told that the House bill will be roughly $800 million in size. If $200 million of that goes for roads and bridges, it leaves $600 million for everything else. For everything else, higher education and wastewater infrastructure and military affairs and veterans and corrections and parks and trails and every state agency. I also gave you a spreadsheet. I introduced a bill in March. I think many of the people standing here are co-authors of that. House File 2384. I wanted to give you a sense of what a $1 billion bill looks like. This doesn't nearly fund all of the asset preservation needs or higher education needs. It just starts to get some of them off the table. It reflects the negotiations that happened in the interim. We worked all summer long. We failed to pass a bill at the end, so all summer we hoped we would have a special session for the tax bill and the bonding bill. And this is as nearly as I could get to the negotiations that went on. The bill as intended the last night of session with the mistakes corrected, all of those road earmarks out because past transportation finance chairs told us that's not a good idea. You politicize road building. And so we took those out, and then we added a few things that the governor asked for. And so this bill reflects that. And I share it with you to help you see what $1 billion looks like. It's not overly generous in any area. It shows that the needs that are broad, it shows how you try to be fair to the whole state, and it is balanced among all of the needs. We're here today because we want to call attention to the fact that delay costs money, it hurts Minnesota, and working together early is good for the state. We are happy to take questions.
Have you begun discussions with your counterpart on crafting a bonding bill? Because they would need not very many, but some votes from your side.
Well, I will tell you, I've been begging since the second day of session, all the leaders and the chairs, and so far we have not sat down. We have not had that conversation.
And what about with your Senate counterpart? They need even more votes, so.
I went to visit him too. I've been encouraging for us just to at least sit down and talk, to have a conversation. But the closer we get to the end, the more fearful I am of going down that same path.
So what's the message that you're taking from that if you're not even meeting with members in your own house?
Well, the message I take, I give to you is, this feels just like last year. The closer we get to the end, this feels just like last year. When in the last 24 hours, we were running around like crazy. I think Representative Carlson tells me, what was the time you convened Ways and Means?
The day we had to constitutionally adjourn, they convened Ways and Means about 7:30 p.m. And we had to adjust the budget resolution to provide the debt service, and then they sat on the bill until, 11:30 that night, and sent it over to the Senate at the last hour. We had not seen, they put online at 7:30 roughly, the bill that they were going to present, and then they passed it out in Ways and Means. So we had no opportunity to really review that bill. And so when Representative Hausman says that we're concerned that we're going to go down that same road, the handwriting is there. Now, I would like to point out that from the very beginning when we did get the budget forecast and we were establishing the targets, those of us in the minority on Ways and Means, and Representative Hausman is on Ways and Means as well, we tried to include debt service in our proposal for the budget resolution, and that was turned down. So we keep hearing later, and it's now within the last month, and we're very concerned about that road we're on.
And one of the issues about a bonding bill is the language has to be so perfect. And when we did it, where you'd hear it in the Capital Investment Committee, you'd hear it in Ways and Means, the last thing you would do is the staff and bond counsel would sit around a table going over every word. And that's where they caught all of those mistakes, so we wouldn't end up with this. That, when you are presenting the bill the last night of session, you're never going to have time for that scrutiny by staff and bond counsel to prevent the kind of mistakes that happen. To your question, what of course happens is this is an intentional leadership decision because they believe that this bill can be used for leverage. And that, of course, hasn't worked in the past, and still some leaders seem to believe that that is going to happen again, that they can use it, that it gives them more power in the deal.
Well, doesn't it?
Well, what happened last year? I don't know. Did they come out looking powerful? I guess that would be my response.
You suggested that you regret putting up votes after 11 p.m. on May 22nd for this bill, and would you do so again if we again are in the last hour and your caucus has asked for votes for a bill you haven't seen? Will you provide those votes?
Now that we know this and we know what the staff simply couldn't accomplish, we would be much more skeptical. One of the reasons that we were cooperative is this backlog is hurting us. And if we didn't pass a bill, the next year gets even more difficult. And so the idea is let's get this off the table so that next year is a little easier to write.
What about all the freshmen? There are many, many new members who haven't heard projects in committee, who haven't toured them. Can you ethically in your caucus feel like freshmen, some of them might be here, can put up votes for things they know nothing about?
We happen to have one.
I actually am lucky enough to sit both on transportation and on bonding, so I have this mixed mind right now. In my first experience, I came out of a campaign where I could not have heard more often, more directly, the issue of pass what you have. That's the concept that the public has been expecting. So as a freshman, I came here with that in my book. That's the order of the day. Let's pass what we have. And so when I saw Senator Senjum put into their side of the aisle, or their side of the House, their whole package, which was essentially a, let's do last year's business, I thought, okay, we are gonna break loose and have that happen.
In January.
Yes, this was when we started. We have gone through that experience, talking and expressing, and I've been leaning on her a lot to get her to verbalize, because I don't have a lot of what if this, or maybe I won't get elected for that, because I just frankly, as a freshman, am a little more reckless. So I've been leaning on her, get something, why don't we say something? Why don't we put something out there? So finally she relented, and we put out our version of the bill, which essentially was last year's bill, with some accommodations for price and that sort of thing. Just to show you how fast this is a move, it's like a rail car that's been parked on a siding, but it wasn't a flat siding. And this thing has started to roll. So I just got an unsolicited letter yesterday from the president of RCTC. They've got a big project that they got to rip down a building, put up a new one. Every rain, they have a bucket brigade, because they have to catch all the water as it's leaking through the roof. In the winter, the staff works in their coats. That building or that project just clicked $200,000 just because we're waiting right now. 1 year, $200,000. That just disappeared.
What about the projects, though, you don't know? As a freshman, do you feel like you could vote for a bonding bill if you had not heard or
Yeah, here's my
toured?
thinking. I can easily do that because everything that was in last year's plan, I think, is already credentialed, it's already been viewed, it's already been done either locally and by people that are here before me. I don't need to redo somebody else's business in order to feel confident that we can go ahead and support it. So to that question, I'm deferring that concern to them, mostly the idea of let's move this through our agenda, because we have a whole bunch of new projects that want to get viewed, which we would then go through the normal prospects.
We have one other first termer. She has one of those that's going to lose federal funding.
I do. I'm carrying several bonding projects for my district, donned the hard hat, had a chance to go see those firsthand. And I actually say that we don't really sit at a better time for freshmen to vote on a bonding bill. When we didn't get the business done last year, it was hard to campaign and not constantly be hearing about the unfinished business of last year. I've sat with my freshman colleagues, some of them who've held the old bonding bill and actually have copies and have read it. I mean, we've sat on this for so long that freshmen actually probably have had more of a time than any other time you would come in a freshman, in this place to be able to do it. So I think there's a ton of urgency that gets shared. And to Representative Sauk's point, I mean, it's been vetted many times now and has had a lot of fresh air on it. So I feel, confident moving forward with that we really need to get this done.
Erin McQuaid is another first-termer who has talked to me about this, and she, in strong language, said, we ran to get things done. We don't have patience for this. We ran to get things done when they went door to door. As Dwayne said, that is the expectation of the public, and that's what they came here to do. And so the impatience on the part of that class I have felt.
Alice, could you, former Chair Hausman.
I'm Alice.
Could you explain how the supermajority rule works in the House and how that affects the dynamics of getting this passed?
It's why we require a supermajority to pass a bonding bill. All the other bills pass with a simple majority, so this is the hardest one to pass. And we've taken some down when they haven't come to us fair and balanced for the whole state. We have that reputation. We know that can happen. In their caucus, they have traditionally had about a dozen people who've never voted for any bonding bill. Now, there's a lot of discipline this year. Maybe that would change. But usually it means they would need even more than that little margin of difference, because there are about a dozen people who tend not to like bonding bills. Several of their caucus describe the bonding bill as dessert, and that's why it has to go last. I recently talked at St. Paul College, where they're just building a science building, and I've said I'm assuming that students and faculty at a college campus, if they're waiting for a science building, they don't think of it as dessert, they think of it as meat and potatoes.
Are you prepared to withhold your votes on a bonding bill if you do not get a significant look and input into putting this together now?
Well, it has to be fair, and you don't know if it's fair if you don't have time to look at it. Now, last year, a few of us had, in the last 24 hours, we sort of knew what the essence was. There's always something in a bonding bill you can disagree with. Last year, it had all of those earmarks, and then you have to ask yourself, do I let $1 billion of infrastructure go because there are maybe one or two things that I don't like? That's the
Say you're
I
going to
think
withhold your votes.
at this point, we just almost don't have a clue until we we have not had one single sense of what's going to be in the bill yet.
Is your fear, given how potentially few votes from your caucus Republicans need, that they're just going to sprinkle in a handful of DFL member projects at the 11th hour and
Well, here's
not
the
get kind
here's
of the
the
broader
challenge
buy-in.
they'll have, and I'll just give one as an example. If you're dealing with 600 million, and if you look at the spreadsheet, you see how fast that goes. What they've already done in the case of, I think, the steam plant in Duluth, is they put 3 million, 2 million in the Garofalo bill, and the total project is 21 million, I think. Well, she's got to decide, what good is 2 million for me? Obviously, they can't start this project without. If that starts to happen in the bonding bill, for example, the State Security Hospital, if that's a 70 million project, if they put in 5 million, could you vote? It's worthless. And so in a small bill, they'd have to pare back those big amounts that I think it's hard to imagine that there'd be pressure to be brought to bear.
That are you seeing, trying to seed some of these projects into other bills? You mentioned a couple cases, I've seen some more. It seems like there is a lack of faith that the legislature will actually get a bonding bill given the failures of the last 2 years. Have you been seeing some of this money filtering out?
Well, we know about that, I'm trying to think of other examples. We know the steam plant, Lewis and Clark, they put a little bit of Lewis and Clark in the jobs bill. Wetland replacement, that's right. Some of the things have gone separately. Now, I can tell you, Representative Erdahl, who knows he has the challenge to pass a difficult bill, he hasn't been supportive of that. He didn't want to see those projects start flaking off, because every time something travels separately, you run the risk that you've lost those votes. And so an author of a bill gets nervous when that starts happening.
What happens when they just partially fund a project? Does that money sit in a bank waiting for the next bonding bill then, or?
Right.
Okay.
Correct. It does depend, and I'll give you one example of where if they're able to raise private money. Grand Rapids, the Rife Center. So inflation meant they waited so long for their project, and when they finally were going to bid it out, it came in higher. They were in a position where they raised another $2 million of private money, but on this spreadsheet, you'll see we give them another $500,000 in cash. They've started the project. We can't do geo bonding for them, but we're still trying to help them by a project that came in over budget.
MSU Mankato has a clinical science building that was partially funded in 13-14 and now is sitting incomplete. So that's one of the things that we need to get taken care of.
Did they start the work?
Science Museum would be.
I'm sorry.
Did they start the work, or do they?
The building itself is up. They don't have the equipment and the things they need to put in it. So yes, it's sitting there incomplete, yes.
The Science Museum would be an example of what they have to, that's a building that's leaking. So when we didn't pass the bill last year, they had to break that project into 2 phases. As soon as you do that, you raise the cost. So they've started phase 1. They've got to be very careful how they do that because of the nature of bonding. But it does raise the cost of the project once you have to phase it. Science Museum would be the example.
What about concern about partially funded or unused money being canceled? That seems to be a perennial debate at the
In
Capitol.
4 years, if money isn't spent within 4 years, that automatically cancels unless you, in the bonding bill, extend it. We have done that from time to time. But when dollars are so few, you don't want them to sit there unused, and that's why we press the readiness of projects all the time. We want to be assured that the projects that are going in, because dollars are so few, that they're actually ready to spend
Do
them.
you know how much money is at risk of cancellation this year if the money is not extended? Like his lab equipment?
Yeah, we have a cancellation report, but we don't have that number. Anything else? Thank you for coming.